Hey there, in today's video, I'm going to walk you through the 5 steps that you need to consider to have an effective UX job search. So you might be thinking to yourself, isn't it just as simple as going out and spending tons of times on the job boards, on LinkedIn, etc.? And yes, you could just start applying, but if you do that, you won't have a proper strategy in place. So these 5 steps of your UX job search are intended to help you have some strategy so that you're not just kind of throwing spaghetti at the wall, if you will, and applying to tons and tons and tons and tons of jobs, when in reality, some of those jobs that you're applying to might not even be a fit for you. So let's jump right into these 5 steps to your UX job search. The first step is to understand your needs. You're going to see we're kind of applying a bit of the UX process to your job search. You have to do some research about yourself. Where do you want to be perhaps 2 years from now? If you want to be a design lead or a senior UX researcher, then you probably need to acquire some skills between now and 2 years from now in order for you to be really equipped to be qualified for those roles. So think to yourself, where do you want to be 2 years from now? And consider what skills and experience you need in your next job to allow you to get that job 2 years from now, that dream job, whether it's, like I said, design lead, senior UX researcher, whatever that is for you. In addition to thinking about 2 years from now, you need to think about making what I call a like and a loathe list. And what do I mean by that? Literally get a sheet of paper, open up a Google Doc, and think to yourself, from the past jobs that you have been in, what have you really liked and what have you loathed? And go crazy. This could be related to being able to work remotely, or the size of the team, or the industry, or that they had a huge conference budget, or that you didn't like this certain coworker. Whatever it is, form that list so that you can look backwards and realize the things that in hindsight really lit you up and the things that you just could do without in a future role. These are going to be really crucial to the second step of the UX job search process, which is to create what I call your career values criteria. And what is this? This is forcing you to think beyond salary. What matters to you in a job? And some examples of what could go into your career values criteria could be things like, what's the size of the company? Do you want to be at a big, huge company? Or are you more comfortable in a small team? Company type. Maybe you love working in a corporate environment. Maybe you hate that. What interests you in terms of company type? Do you want to be working on the same product all the time? Or do you want to maybe be working on multiple products in different industries? Next, team size. Do you want to be a UX team of 1, or do you really need mentorship, in which case maybe you need to be on a larger team? Industries, company culture, location. Can you work remotely? Will you get to travel? How much will you have to travel? Company culture, opportunities for growth, and of course, salary. Those are just some of the things. Benefits, of course, but this starts to form your career values criteria so that when you actually go into the job search, you can only be focusing on jobs that match up to that criteria. So you don't have to expend a lot of mental and emotional energy and think to yourself, should I apply to this? Should I not? Because you already have this list that you can refer back to and you can say, yes, this meets all my criteria. I'm going to go for it. No, I'm not giving this my attention. It doesn't adhere to my career value criteria. The third step after you've identified your needs and created your career values criteria is to then actually start applying, because you're armed with these criteria and an understanding of your needs. Working your sources. So what does that mean? It shocks me how many people just go onto LinkedIn or whatever platform they're on and just kind of change that setting that says, I am available. Like, hello world, come hire me, come ask me for interviews. That's not how the world really works. Even though it shocks me how many times I've been on calls with UX professionals who tell me they just turned that setting on and they're just waiting for people to contact them. You need to be proactive. You can't be passive and just sit back and wait. So how can you be proactive? Of course, going on the job search sites can be effective, but I think more effective method is to look for opportunities where you can kind of bypass these job portals and things and be one step closer to the company itself. So go to the company website itself and apply through there, or spend time on LinkedIn. See if you have common connections to people at that company and ask them for tips on applying or to make a recommendation. Also, this is one of my favorites. Hang out in places online on groups where you might be able to hear about a job before it ever gets posted online. A lot of times this happens. So LinkedIn groups, Facebook groups, Slack groups, other communities that I can link to in this video below. Also, if you don't know someone at a company you're applying to, spend a little bit of time to do some research to see if you can find someone at that company. And if you don't know them already, start to have a conversation with them. Start to ask them questions about what the design culture is like there. How long have they worked there? What's kept them there? Why do they like it so much? Don't go just sending a cold email and saying like, hey, can you do me a favor and help me get hired? Because that would be creepy and just not very professional. But as you start to form relationships with people, naturally the conversation might evolve to, oh, hey, I actually applied for a role there. Can you tell me like how long the job interview phase is, or do you have any tips? This just happened with someone in my community. She applied to a role within the government because she saw the role posted inside a Slack community she was in, and now she's just emailed that person or messaged them on Slack and said, hey, I saw your posting on Slack. I just want to let you know, because of your post, I applied to the job. By the way, I saw you've been working in this role for 5 years or something like that. Like, what's it like? That more than likely is going to lead to a conversation around that woman's application into that role. But after you've begun to work your sources, the next step is to study job descriptions. So we all know that UX job titles are all over the map. The titles really mean nothing because a lot of times they're just loaded with keywords and search terms that are going to help that specific job get more visibility so that company can have a larger applicant pool. So do not just go onto the job sites and click apply to any job that has the word UX in it or design in it, because that's just going to result in you spreading your efforts too thin. What you want to do is truly study the job descriptions. And some of my students have even gone to the length of creating a Google Doc for each job they're applying to and copying and pasting things from the job descriptions that really stand out, and making sure that when they apply to that role, their portfolio and their resume has truly highlighted that specific bullet point from the job description. And also, this better equips them to be more informed for the job interviews so that they can actually speak to those bullet points from the job descriptions. Also, that helps you ask more intelligent questions in the job interviews. Finally, after you've started to apply to jobs, you need to avoid the situation where you have notes on your phone, notes in a Google Doc, post-it notes all over the place, because this will result in you forgetting to follow up, losing track of contacts and things like that. You need to choose a project management system and truly project manage your job search. Now, use whatever tool works for you. If it's Trello, Google Docs, Asana, whatever it is, but put all that information into one place so that you don't forget where you've applied to, when your last contact was, who you should follow up with, etc. Because this is going to help you avoid losing lots of mental and emotional energy trying to remember, when did I do this? Did I follow up with that person? If you follow these 5 steps, you are going to simplify your UX job search, and you're going to go into it with a lot more clarity around what you need from a role, what criteria matter to you so that you can spend more time applying to the right roles and nurturing those roles, because you'll be project managing your job search and really now having the time to follow up, to ask smart questions, to study the job descriptions so that you can be better informed when you get into those interviews and ask smart questions. Because in interviews, as much as they are interviewing you, you need to be interviewing them as well. And this 5-step process allows you to be gathering that information as you go. So when you get to the interview process, you already have a ton of questions lined up because you've studied the job descriptions and you have a lot of questions to ask based on your career value criteria. I hope this video is helpful for you in your UX job search. If you want more help in your UX job search and your UX career, then click subscribe below and be sure to like and comment, share this with your friends, and also check out the description below because I will have some links for you that will be very helpful. Talk to you soon.